Hi, and welcome to Sixcess Stories. We are your hosts, Christina Gent.
And Eric Ozarowski.
And this is where we get to share real conversations with the 6 Degrees community all about life, leadership, and the power of meaningful connections. Today we have another native New Englander. We sure do attract a lot of people from that area to 6 Degrees. Tim Whelan is a principal CPA with Dark Horse CPAs and has been in public accounting for over 15 years. He has a really strong entrepreneurial spirit, so he loves to really get into the ins and outs of the business of his clients.
The theme of the conversation that we had with Tim was being open to saying yes to possibilities. So many of the major experiences have happened to him over the last few years, both personally and professionally. We talked about the excitedly chaotic season of life that he's in right now, where he, in the last year, bought a house, got married, welcomed his son into the world. So we spent some time getting into how he balances all of that and as a business owner, and get into just some more of the time being such a valuable asset and navigating how to utilize our time. And it's going by way too fast for both him and us is what we kind of landed on.
Yeah, it was also really interesting to learn about some of his education experiences that I didn't even know was a possibility. So stay tuned for that, and please enjoy this episode of Sixcess Stories.
No, I had a great time. And I was just going to say, yeah, I really appreciate some of the things that the touches you guys add, right? Like you come in and there's always a warm welcome and a greeting, which I feel like it's when you're coming into an event and it's a networking event, I think that they can be intimidating for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so just to have someone kind of immediately approach you and kind of welcome you in, and the interactive things that you guys do, right? So last night there was, everyone had a card, right? And so you'd be there were a couple of recommendations for people to talk to, and you would kind of get their card, and then you'd have a card to give to other people. And so just kind of a cool way to get interactions going. Which, look, I mean, some people are super comfortable going out networking or just going to events like that and have no problem kind of like breaking the ice and talking to someone that they don't know. But I think that those things that you guys do are a great way to kind of break the ice for folks that maybe otherwise would be reluctant to go up and talk to someone. It's just kind of a way to say like, oh, hey, you're on my card, right? And then the ice is broken and you can just kind of start talking to them.
Yeah, I had a lot of people that are like, I'm an introvert and this is really helpful for me.
Yeah.
It gives me a little direction. It gives me a little confidence. Yeah, having someone at the check-in table welcome you, give you like the lay of the land, and that's just hospitality, right?
Yeah.
And it's an easy thing to miss, and it goes such a long way in my experience.
Yeah. And I think too, it's like I'm walking into a room of 100 people. How do I know who I really genuinely am going to connect with and going to, have something in common with, or, might align for business reasons? And so that's such a big part for us is like, I don't want someone to have to work when they're in our environment. And I think most people, when they think about networking, it literally has the word work in it, and it's because people feel like they have to go and actively work a room and try and connect with people and try and find, who's it going to be? And it's, what if we just do that part for you? Mm-hmm. And then you don't have to, then you just get to show up and be present and get to just go deeper in conversation with somebody. And so that's, for us, it's like, I want to be able to take the lift off of people, and now they just get to enjoy.
Yeah, and having the backdrop of, so last year it was the Padres game, this year, the MLS game. So having that as a backdrop is just kind of a cool way it's something that you can talk about. But two, I mean, I'm a sports fan, so I always anytime you kind of put an event around an athletic event, I'm into that. And it gave me a reason, a chance to get out to see the team here. I hadn't been yet. So
so many people, I had talked to so many, it was either their first time at Snapdragon or first time specifically to see the FDSC game.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of mind-blowing for me is, as someone that's into sports like you are, right? It's this team's been around for 2 years. This is year 2. Kind of crazy. And the stadium's been there for 3?
Yeah,
I think so. I think it was open a year before they moved in, or 2 years, maybe even 4 years. It's one of my favorite things is introducing people to something that's the first time, and then doing whatever we can to make it an amazing experience.
It was really cool. Yeah, and I mean, did you ever play soccer growing up?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
I did not.
Till 12, 13.
Yeah, I mean, I played it a lot as a kid, even into high school, even as an adult, young adult, like I would go and do some of those like adult leagues and stuff. And, it's something that I've kind of lost touch with in the last few years, but it was kind of fun to just go and get back to a game. And even it's funny because on the way over, my Uber driver was like, "Oh, you're going to the game," and just starts talking super passionate about soccer.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like reminded me that like, oh yeah, this is something that I really used to like. It was cool to get back into that a little bit. My first international travel experience was with a soccer team.
Oh, really? You did it
That's
internationally?
cool.
Yeah, there was a guy in my hometown. He, really passionate about soccer, and he had gone to college, I believe, on a soccer scholarship, and just felt like he'd gotten so much out of the game, and he really wanted to give back. And as someone that loved the game, his way to give back was to coach the youth leagues. But specifically what he did is he organized a group. So I kind of just by luck ended up in the right age group at the right time. And he kind of like took our class and, over the period of 3 years, we did a lot of like fundraising, and we ended up then using the money that we raised to go on a trip to England. Our soccer team played 3 different games over in England over our like school break.
Sure.
And that was just a super cool way to, one, get out of the country for the first time and see something different. And then 2, it was just, you kind of got to experience the passion that they have over in the UK for, soccer, which
A little bit different than here.
very different, very intense. I mean, we lost all 3 games over there.
How old were you?
I was like 13 or 14.
Okay. So old enough to kind of have like remember it, appreciate it. That's so cool. Like especially traveling at that age internationally. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Very. I would imagine like open your eyes to
Very much.
different like kind of culture shock, different way of life.
Yeah, and I just think it was kind of a great way of, for me, I just think, there's this I guess, every now and then you get a really cool opportunity. And that was kind of the first one in my mind that really stands out, is just this really cool opportunity. And I think initially I was like, oh, I don't know, it's going to be a lot of work. I've never been out of the country. Do I want to try that? And I think my parents were very encouraging to just try it and go for it.
Very much.
And so
tell a 12, 13, 14-year-old like, yeah, go do that.
Yeah.
It'll change your life.
And it did. And I also think that gave me the travel bug in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Because after that, I was really interested in getting out and seeing more of the world. And in college, I ended up doing a semester at sea, right? And so that probably goes back to that early trip that just kind of got me always wanting to do more travel. And so again, when the opportunity came up to try a semester at sea, I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Where'd you go for that?
So I did a summer semester, which was like a 10-week trip. So we did a lot of that. Like if you did a spring or a fall, a lot of them would go all the way around the world.
Okay.
Wow.
Really cool on a cruise ship with college kids from all over the country.
I don't know that I've ever heard of summer at sea. I've obviously study abroad programs, and if I pick a city, I go to the city, and I'm there for a semester.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of this either.
That's really
so it
cool.
literally was on a cruise ship, like a converted. It used to be a commercial cruise liner. The University of Virginia sponsored the one that I was on. What used to be the casino was was converted into a library, right? And like, and it was still like, it still had, the pool and, the bar and,
all the amenities.
Pool, piano bar and just
Yeah.
all the amenities, right?
Wow.
Except that it was your floating classroom. And so we started in Canada, went across the Atlantic, and then we basically focused on the Mediterranean. So we kind of did a big loop around the Mediterranean over the course of the summer. So like southern Mediterranean. So we did Spain, Italy, Croatia, Greece.
That's so cool.
Turkey, Bulgaria. And then we did the southern side, like North Africa, Egypt and Morocco.
Oh.
And then cruised back
For
back
like
to the
3
US.
So it was like 3 months, 4 months?
It was basically, 2.5 months. It was basically the whole summer.
Yeah.
And of course, that was back when, at the time, it was between my junior and senior year of college. And so I ran cross country in college. So I did all throughout college, I ran. So all 4 years, all 3 seasons, cross country, indoor track, outdoor track.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, how am I going to run? How am I going to train over the summer to get ready for cross country? And there were 2 treadmills on the boat for like 600 people. And
Oh my God.
and so I would have to get up at like the crack of dawn. And so basically there was a sign up sheet, and they released the sign ups the day before for the treadmills. And so, I'd have to run from dinner to go up and like sign up for the next day. And I'd always sign up for myself. And then but you could only take a half-hour block because it was, they're trying to make those 2 treadmills go as far as they could. So I'd always sign up for myself, and then I'd always use my roommate and put his name right after mine, and then I'd get an hour. To run every day.
Beat the system.
Yeah, but it was tough because you really had like the first few days, like when you're crossing the ocean, like you're really rocking back and forth, and so like trying to run while also like moving all over the place.
I hate treadmills, so I'm a big runner too, and I don't like treadmills, but doing it on a boat with that.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be fun to me.
And the weird thing is like that is the summer that I was probably the most dedicated to doing like the summer workouts. And it might have just been because it's like, well, you're on a boat, you've got a whole lot of time, and not and
to carve out an hour on when you have that much time, you can't really, like, you're kind of limited on. Sure, there's some fun things to do, but like you can only do so much of like whatever's available.
Yeah,
I would imagine. Yeah, to carve out an hour made it pretty easy to just get into the routine.
Very much, and then you felt accomplished, right? You get that hour running done, and then the rest of the day, it's like, well, if you hit the buffet, like, all right, well, you don't feel so bad about it because you already ran. So
that's awesome. That's such a cool experience to have. Again, I've never heard of Semester at Sea. I went and visited my friend who was in Barcelona. And once I was in Europe, I didn't realize how close everything was, and so like I was there for, it was supposed to be like a week. And he would have all of his classmates were like, oh, I just got back from Germany. We're going to Turkey and we're going to Paris. Like all this. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So I just didn't realize it was all so accessible once you're over there.
Yeah.
Right. But it sounds like you had that built into the trip, right?
Yeah.
Which is just like, no, I'm going to go across and visit all these places. And that's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, the only real rules were like when you were in port, you know, at a country, it basically was like, don't miss the boat. Don't get arrested. Don't miss the boat. But also it was don't leave the country. So if you docked in Italy, you're supposed to stay in Italy for whatever reason. But that was fine because you were going all over anyways.
How long would you be in each port?
It was usually like 4 to 5 days.
Oh, okay.
So it was enough time.
Room to get, like, you could go somewhere if you really wanted to.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
You could have.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like, if you were in Italy and you wanted to go to Venice, so we landed kind of in Rome area, just north of Rome. And so you could get anywhere you wanted to go in the country from there pretty easily. So, yeah, I mean, I just think that, like, that was those opportunities that have come up, and I've been willing to kind of try it, even though it kind of was maybe a little out of my comfort zone. I feel like it was super rewarding to take advantage of that. And with Semester at Sea specifically, I remember after I went, kind of telling all my friends, like, you have to do this, you really should do it. It was kind of too late for my friends at that point.
Sure.
Because we were already in our senior year then. But yeah, I mean, I hope that, like, my son now, right, when he's a little bit older, stuff like that, I'm definitely going to try to encourage him to try to do some of that stuff.
Yeah, no, travel's such a big, I was talking to someone recently about so I love to travel, but it's been 10 years since I've been to Europe. We really haven't done anything since Christina and I have known each other. It's been over 10 years since Europe. It's like more like 15. And I was talking to someone. It was actually last night at the game. I was just asking about, like, he was talking about how he liked to travel, and I was like, I haven't really been to that many places, right? It was like, oh, Barcelona, Paris, Costa Rica, Mexico, Canada. That's it. And it's been a while since I've really been anywhere else. So there's a lot of the world to still explore.
Yeah. Yeah, and for whatever reason, I think that, like, as we get older, like, there's more reasons, there's more obstacles, there's more reasons to say no to doing something like that. But, like, yeah, I mean, there's, it's expensive is one thing. And then, but you guys are, you've got, it's also tough because you run a business here, right? And so it's like, well, if you take off for 2 weeks, who's going to take care of things here? And the answer is no one really. I mean, maybe not yet, but I mean,
that's the goal.
Yeah.
The goal is to not. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, do we really have a business or do we have jobs? Do we have glorified jobs? Right. As quote unquote business owners, because we're doing 90% of the thing, and we have 3 people on our team that are part time right now that are amazing and super helpful, and there's so much that we need to work through to get ourselves out of being the business.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but I think that's how most businesses start usually, right? Is you're kind of wearing all the hats, you're doing all the things, and then you find ways to delegate and step back from certain roles. That's harder to do than, for me, I find that hard to do, right? Because you're in it, you're so used to doing things, you want to do things a very specific way. And if you do delegate, you have to be comfortable with the fact that the person that you delegate it to might not do things exactly the way that you would have done them. And
well, sometimes they do it better.
yeah, well,
right?
yeah.
So there's two parts to delegating. We're very much in this, and I'm curious of. I have a question for you about this, but for us, part of where we're at is defining excellence and like what excellence means. So when I delegate, what is the standard? Right? Because I think most people want to do their best. No one wakes up and like, I want to fuck this up today and ruin this event or ruin this project. Right? Most people are trying to do their best, but most of the time it's a mirror for me as a leader in terms of like, have I effectively communicated the standards that I have, the goal that we're trying to accomplish, what is actually the deadlines, what is actually needed, who's doing what, like how clear is all of that?
Yeah.
And then kind of tracking along the way to make sure that we're actually doing what we set out to do. That's on me. And we're in this place of trying to pull things out of our head still, build systems to support the team. It's why most people go, I don't want to ever have employees. It's because there's a lot of upfront prep to get there, to be able to build the systems, to build the culture, to set people up for success. So I'm curious for you as a one-man shop right now, like what do you have a visions of building a team and have support staff? Do you have anyone working with you?
I do, yeah. So I have a full-time support staff, and she's great. I've been working with her for a few years now, and I've definitely invested time in kind of getting her up to speed on. She had a lot of general accounting experience, but not necessarily tax experience.
Sure.
And so most of my practice right now is tax focused. So she had a lot of the core competencies and understood the accounting, which is really important if you're going to do business tax. She just didn't yet have the experience on the tax side of things, but she's learned a whole lot. And so now 4 years in, maybe 3 years in, she's doing great, and it makes my life a lot easier. And it does allow me then to continue to try to grow and scale, because if I were truly a one-man show, you can only get so big.
There's only so much bandwidth.
Right. But I think what makes it harder is to try to go from, if you're trying to hire that next employee, right, it becomes like, okay, well, now if you're trying to put in a structure where basically the employee that I have currently, if I want to elevate her and try to get her to be a reviewer and to get her to delegate stuff to, let's say I hire someone new, I need to create the framework for her to, operate from.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I'm starting to think about, because if you do want to grow and scale at a certain point, you need to increase the headcount. It's a service business, right? Tax work. So you are very much limited by the time that you have of staff.
Right. Especially with the deadline.
Well, yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Hard deadline there. Yeah, the communication piece, I think, has been the biggest learning, right? I am not scared to delegate things. I actually want to delegate more. It's just been learning of, I handed this off and I missed the mark on my communication and getting things out of my head. And I think, Eric, you just said something that, even thinking about the event last night, it was something that could be done different, is sharing more about the why behind the things that we're doing. I think so much of what we did last night for that event, maybe some of our team understood the why behind it, but we didn't actually have that conversation. And so I think that's the biggest part, right? Is why are we doing these things, and why are we here, and why do we want to make this experience, whatever our definition of excellence is, because that's what that's what a team is gonna buy into. That's what they're gonna get excited about, is the why. And we have our purpose and we have our values, but just specifically for each thing that we do, for each project, really being able to define that so that people know, this is why I'm working at 11 p.m. tonight to get this job done, to, make sure that it's turned in on time, and then watch what happens when we hand out these panini stickers, right? So, yeah, I think that's something we could do a better job of.
Yeah, and I think for you guys, right, it starts from what's the top level is you're trying to create a wow experience, right? Mm-hmm. But then if you kind of unpack that a little bit and you say, well, what does that mean, right? And so how do you create that?
Right.
That kind of is what helps to drive the direction. But basically, you have the high level objective, right? And then it's just a matter of unpacking that, figuring out what steps you need to do to create that experience. And that's, it takes time and effort to do that.
One of the challenges for us is, so with each event's different. So how do we do, what are the touch points that we're doing it? There's some that we can kind of, welcome. There's a welcome piece. What is the wow experience of this welcome part? Right? Where for you, I would imagine is a little bit more systematic around, if we have a client, we do tax. we have a meeting, we do onboarding, right? There's a little bit more there's more clear steps. At least it seems more obvious to me. It's probably actually the same thing, but
Yeah.
like it's a little bit more
Business.
black and white, where a lot of the nuance to, like you mentioned, like the art of making someone feel welcome and not just having someone sitting down at a table, right, and just going, "What's your name? Cool, good luck," right? Like there's an art to that a little bit more than there's like checking the box of like, do we have a welcome table with people at it? Right.
Yeah.
Where in your business, I mean, there's service and then there's hospitality. The service side is like, well, we need to do all the things that we say that we're going to do. The hospitality is how do we make people feel with it?
Yeah, and I think the challenge for me is everyone's situation from a tax standpoint is going to be a little bit different.
Right.
But you're also trying to create uniformity in the experience that you are able to create for the client.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to have some standardization in what is the product, right? And like, what is the offering? So the offering is, it started out for me, and it's been kind of evolving, right? Now,
Yeah. How has that evolved?
So, I mean, for me, I'm now 4 years into working at Dark Horse, right? And so the biggest evolution, I would say, is early on, it was kind of, I was taking on clients, not indiscriminately, but I was taking on more clients than I would take on now, right? And the product at first, I was taking on clients that just needed a tax return done. So it was compliance focused.
Sure.
You know, what I realized, we've collectively kind of realized is that clients, whether they know it or not, they want more than the compliance. They want advisory. They're asking questions. They want guidance. They want strategy, right? And so what I realized is basically I would take on a client and the engagement was a tax return. But inevitably, they start reaching out during the year and they have questions and they're asking for more. So in order to kind of capture that, because when a client is asking me for information or they want to do some extra work, I'll do it, right? And what I wanted to do is capture that in the initial engagement. So now when I'm taking on a new client on the tax side of things, whether it's a business or an individual, yeah, there's still the compliance piece of it, but on all of our engagements now, there's going to be some level of advisory built into that. Sure. So usually, for kind of the baseline, it would be, for me, we're going to do a couple touch points during the year, but maybe they need help during the year with quarterly estimated payments. And so we'll include that. But at a minimum, what almost anyone can benefit from is going to be a projection. So what I'll do is, September, October, I find that's kind of a great time of year to do it. We will take all the information that a client has year to date. We'll basically put it we'll create kind of a projected tax return for them, figure out what is their baseline. From there, so if you're doing it in September or October, you've got 9 months or 10 months of the year, and it's usually relatively easy to project the last 2 months. So you can get a pretty good, reasonably accurate baseline of what's their year going to look like.
Yeah, I would imagine you just pull, like, here's the 10 months that we have, and here's what you did last year, and do you think it's going to be more or less than what it is?
And you're not going to get it to the dollar, but you're going to be within a few percentage points. Sure. Probably.
Yeah.
But from there, it's like, okay, well, here's your current set of facts. We've got 2 months to change that set of facts to make your situation to optimize your tax situation. And so that's the part of it that I think almost any client can benefit from. So for business owners, there's usually more that we can do on the planning side of things and strategizing. But even if it's someone with a W-2, if they hadn't really thought about what they're contributing to their 401k, or are they contributing to their HSAs, or whatever they have going on, there's almost always something that we can look at to try to improve their situation a little bit.
Sure.
And so the benefit is obviously, one, there's an opportunity to help improve their outcome, to reduce the tax burden. So that's an obvious benefit. The second piece of it is, like, even if it's somebody that has a W-2 and we do a projection for them and we give them some strategies and they're not really interested in doing a whole lot, that's fine. But at least they know where they stand, right? So as a result of that projection, we're able to kind of give them basically an estimate of what to expect when the tax return is filed, right? So it eliminates the element of a surprise. So getting rid of that surprise is a huge value add. So even if the client isn't interested in making any big changes on the strategy side of things, because the reality is most tax strategies require you to put in either time or capital, right? So, I have clients that usually on the high net worth side of things, they have capital. And so they're able to take advantage of some of these other planning opportunities, maybe. Sure. But sometimes money alone isn't enough to make a strategy work. So the example I'd use on that, and I did a presentation on this a while back, was the short-term rental strategy.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of clients or prospects asking me about that all the time. And they'll say, well, I've heard that if I get a short-term rental, I set up an Airbnb, I can do cost segregation study on the property, create all this depreciation. Now I can take 100% bonus depreciation on it because of the rule change last year. And I can create this big loss and wipe out my W-2 income. And I say, well, maybe you can do that, but there's a specific set of criteria that you need to hit in order to be able to do that, to make that work. And one of the biggest things is you need to be materially participating in the property. So if you want to make that strategy work, it's basically a part-time job. There's 7 different ways, there's 7 different tests that you can use to meet that requirement of material participation. But pretty much all of them require you to you have to be the one that's actually operating the business.
Right.
The one that I usually will get people there would be 100 hours and you're the one doing most of the work, which means you can't use a property manager generally, right? So someone that might think they've got plenty of money and they say, well, I'm just going to buy a vacation rental, I'm going to hire a property manager. It typically, in that scenario, it usually won't work because they won't have the material participation. So, but anyways, when we look at the specific strategies that we're going to apply to an individual, a lot of it is talking to them to figure out what are their goals. Because if their goal is, I just want to reduce my tax burden at all cost, well, there's a lot that we can do. But usually it's a balance of, I want to reduce my tax burden, but I also don't want to take too much cash. We need cash currently, so I can't put $100,000 into this investment. And so then it becomes a matter of, within their circumstances, what levers can we pull that are going to make sense for them.
I love that. I love how passionate and how clearly you can talk about it, because I remember that presentation that you gave and I was like, oh yeah, you're explaining the rental property thing in a way that was way simpler. I know, Christina, you weren't in the room. His spotlight that he did in one of the groups was really informative. So I appreciate how well you're able to articulate the strategies that you put into place with your clients.
Yeah, and I think that is that for me is the fun part of the job.
Yeah.
is trying to work with clients to find solutions to their problem. So sometimes it's an easy solution. Sometimes it requires a little bit more creativity.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just a matter of, well, we're just gonna maybe adjust a couple of things in your withholdings, and that's gonna be, we'll call it a day. And that is still a win because it reduces the surprise, right? Like, I talk to prospects all the time, and the things that I hear them, I always ask, well, why are you leaving your current CPA? And the themes that come up over and over again are, one, I didn't hear from them, there was no communication, I didn't know what was going on, and then all of a sudden, it's April 10th and I get an email that says I owe $15,000 and it's due next week. And so, it's the surprise. No one wants to be surprised. And you would think, well, that's obvious, but it happens. It happens all the time. And that is one of the things that I hear from prospects constantly. And so we're always trying to reduce that. We're trying to prevent that element of surprise.
Well, so you mentioned this kind of been an evolution the last 4 years. So when in the last 4 years did you get to this place of doing more of so it sounds like there was a shift in focusing on advisory, focusing more on planning, but eliminating the surprise. Is that a newer thing in the last couple of years, or with what you're doing with the projection part, or has that always been part of it?
That's been an initiative from kind of the top down. So like when you look at Dark Horse, right? So I'm the CPA there. Dark Horse, the organization, basically, and I'm an employee, but one way to think about it, an easy way for people to understand it, is it's kind of like a franchise model. It's not, but that's an easy way to think of it.
It's like State Farm, right? I think we talked about this. Where
I think somewhat.
Similar.
Operationally, I don't know 100% what the State Farm model is, but essentially there's guidance and there's directive from the corporate level. And we also get a lot of the infrastructure. So for me, I like the accounting work. I don't want to be an IT manager. I don't want to be worrying about HR issues. I'm not a marketer. So Dark Horse basically covers all that. So they provide the infrastructure, the marketing, the IT, the HR, all the support really that you need to run an accounting practice. I get that from them.
Is your support staff through them?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, the hiring process, right? I didn't have to worry about making sure that I'm complying with all the labor laws and all that stuff.
Sure.
I don't know anything about that stuff, but luckily I'm covered on that, right? So it's been hugely beneficial because it allows me as a CPA to focus on the client service work. And part of that is also, at least early on, a lot of it was client acquisition, because, and this kind of goes back to how I ended up at Dark Horse in the first place was, I was at a point in my career where I liked the work that I was doing at the prior firm, but I didn't like the job anymore. Part of it was kind of going back to the beginning for me of my journey in public accounting. I started out at a really small firm, and I loved it. It was like a 12-person firm in the Boston area. I was there for a couple of years, and then I went to a large national firm. So the thing is, like, when you're in college, the system kind of encourages you and pushes you towards working at a large firm.
The Big Four.
The Big Four.
Yeah.
It looks good in the statistics for the colleges, the college rankings and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you're kind of pushed and encouraged very strongly to work for those companies. And I got lucky by avoiding it. And part of it was like the economy wasn't great when I graduated. So I was applying to the Big Four. But instead of doing an internship the summer between my junior and senior year, I did semester at sea. So I didn't have an internship on my resume. And the economy wasn't great. So the Big Four, I was applying but didn't get any traction. I ended up at a small regional firm. And in hindsight, it's probably the best thing that could have happened to me, because coming out of school, I thought I wanted to be an auditor, right? My dad's a CPA. He started in public accounting, and then he kind of went the corporate route and worked as a controller for many years. And so the path to that would be you do assurance work. So I kind of thought, oh yeah, that's the path. My first job, I ended up at this 12-person firm. At a 12-person firm, you don't choose assurance or tax. You're doing everything. So whatever comes in the door, one week you're out on an audit, the next week you're back in the office, you're doing a corporate tax return, a day later you're doing a partnership return. So you're getting exposure to everything, and you're in that way you're figuring out what you like, and more importantly, I'd say what you don't like. And what kind of surprised me is that the work I thought I wanted to do, which was being an auditor, I actually didn't really love that. And the work that I didn't really think I would be drawn to at all, the tax work, I ended up really enjoying that. And actually, I think the place where that crosses over the most, the accounting and the tax, would be like the business tax side of thing, because you really need to have a strong fundamental understanding of accounting to correctly do business tax returns.
Sure.
Because, on a business tax return, for the most part, you've got a balance sheet. You're starting with the company financials, and then you're making adjustments based on the differences between GAAP rules and tax law. And so you need to understand both to really do a business tax return correctly. And so that's what I kind of found that to be sort of what I was drawn to. And had I ended up at a Big Four, right, day one, it's just you're either assurance or you're tax.
Yeah.
And it's way more specific than that even. It's like you're going to do assurance work for insurance companies, and you're going to focus on reconciling cash and accounts receivable, right? So it's super, super specific, versus having, the ability to kind of get a taste of everything, which ended up really being great. And honestly, that set the tone for my career, because I've always been a generalist.
Well, I think there's a lot of value in the general part of it. And one of the best ways to learn anything is like, do I like it? Try it. Or even like, what do I like about the thing? Mm-hmm. And can I do more of that? Taking time to actually invest, try something new.
Yeah.
And then actually go through it, right? I mean, that's Christina. Like, that's part of the reason that we took over 6 Degrees was Christina was involved with the company for 6 months. She goes, I love the people. I don't even know how to explain what half of them do, because she had zero business experience. But she's like, I love the people, and I didn't know this was like a possibility, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting. Like, I have a theater degree and went straight into bartending and serving, and so yeah, I had no idea what this could be or what I could be doing. But yeah, being able to just test something out, try something out, give something a shot. And yeah, and it sounds like from your first experience of being able to just really experience all of the different parts of it, which is great. It's just great learning.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because looking back on it, like, I didn't realize at the time that it was a good thing, because I still wanted to like move towards like a big firm, and I still kind of went that route. I did a couple years the small regional firm, and then I worked at a large national firm. And so you probably hear like the horror stories. Everyone in public accounting my age or older has, horror stories about, 80-hour weeks and all that,
Yeah.
right?
Well, accounting and the lawyer, like attorneys, it's very similar where it's my experience from people I've talked to and not being in that world, but it's, well, I had to suffer and struggle, so that's what I expect of you as an employee of our firm, especially the bigger ones, more corporate ones, is if you're not putting in 80 hours, 90 hours, 100 hours, you're not working hard enough.
I think that's so, like, I just...
Because I went through it.
I know, that mentality to me is so insane, and it reminds me of this whole debate on forgiving student debt, right? And so many people who are against forgiving student debt, and I'm like, but for what reason? Why are you against doing that? And they're like, well, because it's like, well, because that's not fair. It's not fair. I paid for mine. It's like, okay, but what about all of that money? If I were to forgive student debt to the people who are still paying that off, what would happen with all the money that they now have to spend? They're going to spend it in the economy. They're going to go shop at your store. They're going to go buy your service, your shit, whatever. I don't know. It is the same kind of thing, right? Of what you're talking about, Eric, of, well, because I put in these hours, I did 80-hour work weeks, I went through all of this, so anyone below me also needs to go through this. Yeah, but what if we found more efficient, smarter ways to work, and we don't have to actually work as hard? Isn't that the point? Like, why are we trying to make other people miserable?
No, and I agree with that, right? Because I think that what you mentioned there about if you can find a way to do the same amount of work in less time, you should be able to work less, right? But the mentality at a bigger firm was just like, oh no, it means that you can work more hours and we can make more money.
Yeah.
Right.
And
well,
I mean,
it's the problem with billable hours.
Right.
100%.
If I'm trading my time for money, you as an asset to my company, if I'm especially like accounting, like I'm looking at numbers, I'm seeing this asset makes me this much more money because they work more hours.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
and that
way more black and white.
Well, and that's the path to moving up the ladder.
Right.
And that it's not necessarily does this person have a great relationship with his clients and a great rapport and they're doing great work. It's how many hours are you working? So basically the two metrics that they use, it's realization and utilization, right? And so the utilization is basically how many hours are you working. And they get that as like a percentage, right, of the number of hours you're expected to work in a year. So you get a utilization percentage and then a realization percentage. And the realization is basically, so you have an hourly rate, right? So, right. And the hourly rates are usually pretty high. And the reality is, like, if you're doing somebody's tax return and it's a junior staff person working on it and a manager reviews it and then a partner reviews it, you accrue all this time on the job. And when someone goes to bill that work, you're reviewing what's in there, and then you're actually looking, okay, well, like if I take all the work that's in this job and I try to bill it, can I reasonably bill it? Probably not. So then it's looking at, well, how much could I actually bill for this, right? And so usually you end up writing that down a little bit, at least in the tax world, right? Sure. Legal world, I think they bill pretty much all the time. On the tax side of thing, in my experience, usually they're writing down the hours a little bit. But at the end of the year, right, anytime your work gets written off or written down, your realization level goes down a little bit. And so what you're being evaluated on is someone that's 2 or 3 levels up above you that probably doesn't even recognize you, know you by, if they saw you, they wouldn't know your name.
At a big company, yeah.
At a big company. Those are the people who are making decisions on advancement. And they're looking at those two metrics, like this person, realization, utilization, this is how much money they're making us. Okay, great. Promotion, not promotion, right?
Right.
It's primarily driven by how much money are you making for the firm, which just creates that incentive to just work more hours and sometimes to eat hours, right? And not report all the time that you put in, because if you went over budget, you don't want that to negatively impact your realization. So,
right.
So yeah, it created a very, and still does create a very, I would say, toxic environment. It's a culture of workaholics. And I kind of experienced that at a large firm. The one thing I would say about working at the large firm that I was at is I learned a ton. There's
pros and cons, right? Yeah. There's the part of it is like, there's a book, Unreasonable Hospitality, is in my mind right now, but he talks about restaurant smart and corporate smart. Mm-hmm. The small independent restaurant that has its own, doesn't know what it doesn't know about systems. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of really valuable parts of that. I care more. I find people that are more passionate. We curate things a little bit more. And then the corporate side is like, there are systems built. Mm-hmm. And there's so much to learn from both. And to get it to dabble in both, kind of similar, like the generalist thing that you talked about, mm-hmm. is really, really valuable, actually.
Yeah.
How did that show up differently for you on the corporate side? What was the takeaway? What was the learning that you had from the big corporate experience?
I think for me, I realized that path was not going to be for me. You're kind of going down this this path in public accounting, and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, like, what does 5 years from now, what does 10 years from now look like? The goal ultimately is to be a partner, typically, right?
Yeah.
If you're staying in public accounting, the goal is to be a partner. And I could see what the partners were doing. The partners, yeah, I'm sure they were making good money, but they were working as many hours as anyone else, if not more, right? Because there was so much responsibility and so much stress that kind of was on their shoulders. And I look at that and I just was kind of like, if that is the ultimate goal, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And so then I tried kind of a mid-size regional firm. And I think that, again, I liked working at that mid-size firm. And that was also in the Boston area. And I really liked it. Again, it was a great team, a great group of people. The problem is there's so much consolidation in public accounting. The small firms, like the landscape of public accounting, if you look at it today versus what it was 15 years ago when I started in public accounting, there are way fewer firms. There's just so much consolidation.
Right.
So all those small and mid-sized firms, they don't really exist anymore. They're all being bought up
Yeah.
by bigger firms. And so of the 3 firms that I worked at before Dark Horse, none of them exist anymore. They were all bought up by bigger, larger firms, including the large national firm that I was at. They were bought up by an even bigger firm.
And I would imagine part of that has to do with the lack of accountants coming out of college and like less people being interested in that industry.
So that's definitely a part of it. Is you've got a lot of equity partners that are retiring, and you don't necessarily have people coming up that can afford to buy them out. And so you've got 2 things are happening really. So one is private equity is coming in and getting involved here, and you've got a lot of money coming into the space from private equity. And then you've also got so it's a combination of private equity and then just consolidation, big firms buying small firms.
Sure. So to me, everything that you just described, especially the utilization versus realization part of mapping all of this out and tracking those things with AI and with technology, this seems to me, lawyers, accountants, where there's this hourly billable rate that I can start automating a lot of this stuff, or at least shrinking the time. Where do you see your industry going in the next couple of years because this seems like to me like these seem like the 2 of the bigger opportunities to really disrupt.
Yeah, the trend has been to move towards value-based pricing, right? So
Sure.
if you can do a job more efficiently. So I have, from day one in my practice, and again, so after those experiences, I decided that the traditional path of public accounting wasn't for me. And so I was thinking about going out on my own, and then I found the Dark Horse model and thought like, oh, that's perfect, because it basically allows me to operate my own practice, my own firm, but I'm not going to be alone. I'm not going to be, a one-man show.
Do they get like a cut? Is
Yeah.
it like an annual fee or whatever for the service side, the HR side? Is that basically how it works?
Yeah. So your comparison to like a State Farm, right? Where I'm sure it's. Did you have a State Farm?
I didn't own it. My friend owned it, and I did everything but have my name on it, so I know enough about it. But yeah, it was the way it was set up was just percentage splits of revenue back to State Farm, back to us.
Gotcha. And I lost track. I was trying to get back to your question. I think I just forgot what your question was.
Oh no, just technology and how.
Yes.
Where you see technology integrating into your industry, because to me, with everything that's coming, and I like it's gonna disrupt certain industries way more than others.
Yeah.
But anything where it's like a billable hourly rate, where I can't justify charging $500, $700 an hour when I'm only spending 10 minutes.
Well, here's the reality though, is the client's paying for an outcome, right? Like the client doesn't care how much time it takes me to provide that outcome, right? And that's the way I built my practice from day one, is to go with a fixed fee model, right? So I'm going to provide this service, I'm going to provide this deliverable for this price.
Right.
And I think that smaller firms are better equipped to go with fixed fee pricing. The bigger firms, big ships turn slow. Like there's so many layers that I think it would be really hard for them to go with that route. So I think that I don't see big firms, national firms switching to that model. But for me as a smaller firm, I love going with the fixed fee price, because the client, there's transparency from their side of it. So, and it kind of fits my theme of no surprises, right? So like the client's not going to get surprised with an invoice that they weren't expecting, which would absolutely happen at those national level firms. And they can build it into their budget. They know what it's going to be. For some clients, it's, well, here's the annual fee, and I can break that down if you want. We can pay monthly or quarterly, right, to kind of fit their budget. And so there's an incentive there for me if I'm doing the work on a fixed fee basis, there's incentive there for me to try to find ways to do the job more efficiently.
Sure.
It's kind of the opposite if you're going on the hourly model, right? Like if more efficient doesn't necessarily mean a better bottom line, because it means fewer hours that you can build with the client. So for me, I think in the space that we're in, absolutely anything that I can use that's going to help me do the job more efficiently.
Optimize it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm curious. So you said that your dad was a CPA as well. So I'm just really, really interested in what is your relationship to money? What does money mean to you? What is it? How does it make you feel?
Money to me is freedom, I think, more than anything, right? I don't aspire to have fancy cars or a big house. To me, money is if you can get to a point where you have enough money, you can live the life that you want to live without doing the things that you have to do, right? Like work, I like work, but I have to do it, If you can get to a point where you have enough money that, you can pursue all your passion projects and you can kind of follow the path that you truly want to go down versus like, I have to do this for money. I actually would probably still do accounting on some level. Even if I didn't have to, I'd probably do it. I'd probably do a lot less of it, and I'd probably have some side businesses. I have an entrepreneurial spirit, right? So I love the idea
we've talked about that,
of different business ideas. I'm always looking at I love talking to people about their business ideas and kind of just vetting it and seeing, that might work, that might not work, and just kind of bouncing things off of people. But yeah, I mean, my parents. So from a money relationship with money, so. I'm one of 6 kids, right? So my parents had to find a way to they had one income growing up, and there were 8 of us. And so my mom would always say, my dad's job is to make the money, and, my job is to make the money go as far as it can go. So I think that kind of instilled a frugality in me, like from an early age. And so I don't like spending money on things that, if I can save money, I'm happier doing that than spending money. And that kind of is aimed towards, the idea is to try to build wealth, right? If you can get to a point where you have wealth, you can kind of do what you want to do at that point.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I mean, that question, honestly, I'm like, I want to ask more people that, because you said freedom, right? That was the word. And because in my mind, it's always been more security, right? Like the sense of feeling secure. So it's just interesting how people have different relationships or different feelings internally. Just, I think so much of it from how we grow up and, right,
Sure.
being raised in a house of 8 people, right? Versus for me, it was me and my mom, single mom. And so, yeah, it's just it's a fun topic, I think, to talk about. Money is just, it's energy. And so it's fascinating just to hear how people feel about it.
Yeah, I think freedom, I think that security is a great way to put it. And the way I think of it is, I think that like at a certain amount of money, you have security. Security as in like, you don't have to worry about missing your next couple of mortgage payments. You don't have to worry about like, where your meals are coming from. To me, that's like, okay, you've got a level of comfort that like you're in a secure place financially.
Yeah.
And then if you take that a step further, the way I view it is, do you have enough money that you could truly do what you want to do? If you wanted to go and travel for a year, could you do that? And that takes a much higher level of,
for sure,
of wealth, I think.
Yeah, I think there's definitely levels. And I agree with you. It's like, there's like the level of the security piece. And then it's like, oh yeah, for me to not have to think so hard of like, can I actually buy these concert tickets or whatever, It's like, ooh, should I do that? Or it's like, no, that's something I want to go do. So I can just go do it because I have that freedom, right, to know that like I'm good. So yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I'm trying to think what for me like that answer, and I think it's freedom, but I don't know that I would have said that, but I agree with everything that you said, Tim. And I think for me, it's like spreading joy. Like what I realize is like I love paying people. Like when we get to pay our team and I do process payroll, I'm like, this is how much money they make this month. This is awesome.
Nice.
Like it's like cool. Like it's like cool. Like again, money's just a tool, right? And it's energy. And when we have vendors and stuff, I was like, oh, we're cutting you a check for how much? Like, hell yeah.
Good for you.
Good. Like you doubled your rate. Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can afford it. Cool. I love being able to do that for people is what I realized. And then I've always and it's been hard for me like the last 5 years of this business because we've been trying to figure a lot of things out. And I haven't got to do like the spontaneous, I'm just going to do this for someone because I can.
Yeah.
And that's how Christina and I met. And just even in our relationship, like there's times where it's like, I know it's not about the money and it's more about the gesture for certain things, but it's my mentality has kind of shrunk a little bit with that because it's like things have been tighter than I would like to be able to do some of those things because of the business and because of how much is involved in that.
Yeah, and I remember there was an episode you were talking about how one of the things you'd really like to do is to be a very generous tipper, and I love that, right? Because it's like you said, it's an energy. It's also just it's validation to that person. You're gonna make them. You're bringing that. Yes, it's money, but it's also you're validating them in a way. You're basically telling them that they did a great job.
I would love to be able to do that more for people, right? Like when someone does, like, not do it all the time and not like throw it around, but like when it's the right thing, just like leave $1,000 tip on like $100 tab. Like,
yeah,
I've done that once or twice. Probably not that much, but it was a while ago.
Even something as like just for fun. So the person who married Eric and I is a really, really good friend of ours. Eric's known him for so many years, and he told us that he'll do the marriage for free, but if you get divorced, it's $10,000. And so Eric made the joke of, I just want to like Venmo him from like each of us pay him like $5,000 and just, I don't know, maybe like a broken heart emoji or something and like not say anything. And for him to just be like, what the fuck? Like, like, are they getting divorced? But just for the, like, literally just for the joke. It's like if we had $10,000.
It's an expensive joke.
Yeah, it's an expensive joke.
It would be worth it to me.
But it would be
just
so
for him
funny.
to call and be like, dude, what's going on?
But things like that, right? Like that to me goes back to like you describing like the freedom of like, yeah, like just to do things just to do things. And what a cool way to use money as energy in that way, right? Where it's a joke, it gets somebody to laugh. It's a callback to something that he said years and years and years ago. And then at the end of the day, it also is money that he could do something with, invest it or put it into his business or whatever, right? So but yeah, it's things like that I think are so fun to be able to do. I think that's part of why Eric and I are so aligned, is because like I'm the same way. I was like, I want to spread joy. I want to give things away. There's people in my mind that have been so supportive, even in the first couple years of when we bought this, that I'm like, oh, like I want to throw you $1,000. I want to throw you $1,000. Like there's just a couple people who they were just super, super, super generous with us in the beginning, and I'm like, yeah, no, when we have that freedom piece, I'm like, yeah, I'm still gonna do that.
Yeah, I mean, you just remember those things, and when the day comes, you know, you can kind of go back and do it, and hopefully we'll get to that point where we have that financial freedom to be able to kind of, you know, to take care of people that helped you along the way.
Yeah,
that part I want to be able to do that more. I'm curious for you of like, so if 0 to 100 in terms of like where I want to be financially free, like the freedom part, like where are you at on the scale?
Yeah, freedom is 100.
Freedom is 100. I'm probably only at like a 20. I mean, because sure. I think of it as being, you know, it would take a lot of money to get to a point where full financial freedom, meaning like you don't have to work if you don't want to. You can go on trips, you can share, you can be generous with your friends and family. Yeah. So I don't know, like from a dollar amount, what that would take, but I'm sure it would be a big number, I think.
Yeah. So it's what retirement, like to be able to, if I'm able to retire, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right. I have the freedom. I can pick and choose. And do I have income set up in other ways? And if I'm an entrepreneur, do I have other businesses that are going to be able to support me?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I love the idea of having just multiple streams of income and revenue.
Yeah.
One, because I mean, it's like your investment style, right? You're not going to necessarily put all your money in one stock. Financially, you know, I like having multiple ways of making money. And part of that is like, you know, with AI coming, it's just like, okay, I think my job is safe for a while, but 10 years from now, is it safe? I don't know. Like, who knows, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think having some other source of revenue as like a safety net, I think would be nice. But I mean, right now, obviously my focus is entirely in the accounting world. But I mean, I have, I've got my real estate license. I even got a mortgage license. At a certain point, I just realized I'm a really good test taker. Like that's like my superpower, right? And so I was like, okay, like I can take this class, take this test, and I'm licensed, right? And so I did that for a couple different things, and then I was like, okay, well, if I'm not really using these, it's not really worth it for me. But
I kind of had that with insurance. It's like I had it for the last 5 years, and I'm like, I'm renewing this every year. I really didn't love it. I can't really see myself going back and doing it. Before we took over 6 years, I thought about, what if we opened our own insurance agency and did that? And it just, I'm like, I just realized that like it would take 3 to 5 years of me being the only person in the business to sell it. And I'm like, that's not my strong suit. Like I've been debating, like, do I renew it? Do I not? Do I just let it lapse? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's tough though, because like you kind of also probably have if you put in a lot of work, to get it, it's hard to let it go.
I took one test 4 times, and it got to the point where so I never really wanted to even be in it. So my background's I was doing event production, and the owner, so he was kind of like my big brother mentor, and I worked with him for 10 years, and we would do corporate retreats, company holiday parties, trade shows, all this stuff. And while I was helping him on that business, he also had a State Farm, and he's like, hey, my manager just left, I was just kind of like his right hand man, so he's like, can you go learn that business and kind of just don't let the ship sink, was his whole, there's opportunity there if you want the opportunity, but I just need someone for a couple of years to run it. And I was like, sure, I'll go learn about residual income. That sounds smart. Maybe I can figure out how to apply that in a different way. And after about 6 months or a year in, I was like, yeah, like this, I see how this is set up, and if I'm not the owner, this isn't really going to be a career for me. And it didn't, like, and at the time too, like some of the splits with agents, the agencies changed, and just weren't as favorable. And I was like, I don't know if this is worth kind of the thing. But when he first asked me to step over, there's three or four tests that I had to take: life, health, property casualty, all this stuff. One of them, I think it was life or health. One of them I didn't pass. I missed it by one question. And then I never studied in school, so I just I always believe, like, if I sit in class, I take notes, I'll pass it, I'll get a B. And I figured out school, and so I was very stubborn. Like, I didn't study again. I was like, I just missed it by one question. I just need the right question, I'll get it. And it took me. I took it 3 more times, and I missed it by like 4 questions, 3 questions. And finally I texted him, and I was like, hey man, if I don't pass it on this one, I don't know if this is for me. And then I passed. So yeah, like, to your point about, like, I did put a lot of work in, but it's like, is it just a sunk cost I had to let go? It's a gift from my past self that it's just, do I need to hold on to that? Or that was a time and a place, and it's not really serving me anymore. I can't imagine really ever using it again, because I don't. But like, I've had people be like, well, if you had, and this is other people in other groups where, like, the relationships, like, well, if you had this license, I can refer you and I can give you the kickback because there's regulation stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, even the way we have this set up is like, that doesn't feel right to me.
Sure. Yeah. But also, like, what does it cost you to renew the license, right?
It's
like,
not
and
crazy,
it's just,
$400 a year or something.
Yeah. But I mean, even still, if you get one referral deal a year, it's just like you're kind of breaking even at that point, probably.
Right. And yeah, it doesn't really make sense at this point. So
I didn't know it was 400. I'm like, what are you doing? Why do you have that?
Because I worked really hard for it.
Yeah, my Massachusetts CPA license is up for renewal next month, and I'm like, I don't need it anymore, in that, like, I have my California CPA license.
Yeah.
But part of me is just like, yeah, like, I feel like I worked so hard to get that, and in like, it doesn't, like, I still have my California one, but like, I think I just have like an emotional attachment to it.
As long as you have the one, you can expand to different states, I assume.
Yeah,
like,
so
it's not
really,
like you have to go back and take a test.
Really what it comes back to, a lot of states do have reciprocity. Really what it comes down to is, like, I could take on a client in any state. If I'm in California, I can be a CPA and work with a client in Missouri or wherever. And one of the cool things about being a remote firm is that I do have clients from different states, like, really all over the country, which is really cool. But there's weird regulations about, like, I can't hold out as being a CPA. So I can't advertise myself as being a CPA in another state if I don't have a CPA for that specific state. I don't know why they do it that way. I think it's because the states all want you to pay their registration fee.
Sure.
For sure.
But, so the last couple of renewals, I've kept my Massachusetts, and I don't know. I don't know if I'll just let it go this time.
I mean, it sounds a little bit, for both of you have said, I worked really hard for that. So I think there's a little bit of ego slipping in there for
No, it's a sunk
wanna...
cost. I should just let it go. I literally haven't used it in 8 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I
think about that. That's $400 over
years.
6 years, whatever. Think about how much that adds up.
I don't want to think about that.
Yeah. I think with me though, part of it is like there's a part of me that's like, oh, when I have free time, I'll spend more time on this thing because,
Of course,
it's like, yeah, I'll get back into real estate, and like I used it for myself. Like we bought a house last year, and so it was kind of nice to have a license to do that, and basically just kind of essentially use it to just kind of reduce the offer price because we're not asking the seller to pay for an agent comp for me. So like it saved me a little bit of money there, but I also just kind of like it. Like it was just kind of fun for me to do that and go through that process. But yeah, realistically, I just don't know how much time I'm going to have in the future to kind of do that. But it could also be a thing. Like a lot of those licenses, it would allow you to get a commission if you referred it to someone else or that kind of thing, which again, I don't know if I'll do that.
That would be the reason to keep it at this point, is like if there was some sort of, because of regulations in those industries, right, is the opportunity of like, oh, like you have this license, the way that this is structured, I can actually give you a cut. Yeah, as like a quote unquote referral. But again, like for me, like most of what we do, like that doesn't even feel right.
Right. Sure, that would feel really,
like
really
if I sent you business and then we had some sort of deal, but then I'm like kind of incentivized to send it to you versus like really doing what's best for the person that I'm talking to. And yeah, it's just one of those things like I think almost like from a value standpoint, or like from our core value standpoint, it's like it just doesn't align. Yeah. So that part of it is like, yeah, I probably just need to not pay $400 for the license and just swallow my pride.
Just let it go.
I think that one needs to be let go of. That's funny though.
Give up the career, the insurance career.
I might need to hang it up.
You don't even
hang after 6 years.
Don't even like
after 6 years of not doing it.
Hang up the khakis.
Hang up the khakis. Jake.
I did have this. This was funny. I had this like red polo that I wore one day, and it's like, oh, you're like really into it, huh? I was like, oh, I just like the polo. I didn't. Yeah, you're right. It's like it's a little too on the nose.
That's really funny though.
I want to go back to. So you had 6 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Mostly sisters. What was the dynamic? What child were you, and what was the family dynamic?
I'm right in the middle, so I'm number 3. Could kind of fly under the radar, which I like that because I'm kind of an introvert, and so like I didn't necessarily want all the attention, right? And so that middle child syndrome I think is very real. Yeah, so I have an older brother, older sister, and then 3 younger brothers, and my older brother actually lives here in San Diego.
That's what brought you out here, I think you were telling us.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
My older sister's now in Portland, Oregon, and then my other siblings are all back in the Boston area. Okay. But yeah, so I mean, what kind of brought me out here to San Diego, it's partly my brother being out here, my older brother, in that like he has been here for years. I mean, he's been here for probably 10 years, maybe 15 years at this point. And so over the years, I would come out here and I would visit maybe once a year. And just every time I came out here, I was just like, what a cool city. I'd love to come out here. I'd love to move. But, you know, there was always a reason. There was always something holding me back. Usually it was work. It was just like, oh, you know, I have a pretty good job back home. Like, I don't want to give that up. And it's also like it's a big move, right? It's the other side of the country.
Yeah.
So there was always a reason not to come out here. And one of my good friends from college, he, for the first several years after college, he still lived in the Boston area. He grew up out here in San Diego. At a certain point, he went to law school and then he moved back here to San Diego. And so one of the times when I came out here and visited, I was obviously hanging out with my brother and then my good friend who lives here as well. And at the time, he had a house over in Ocean Beach, and it was, you know, the Ocean Beach Pier. Yeah. So there was a little like community of colleges right at the start of the pier. And so within that little community, there's one house, like they called it the big house. And it was like a 3-bedroom, like good size house, first house next to the Ocean Beach Pier. And he was living there with a couple of his friends at the time. And when I went out and visited, we stayed there for, you know, a night or two. And I was just like, this place is so cool. You walk into the living room and it's just, you know, a 10-foot wide window looking out at the pier and the ocean and the beach below. Yeah. And I was just like, this is unreal. And I kind of was like jokingly like, hey, you know, if one of these guys moves out, let me know, I'll come out here. Yeah. And so literally a few months after that, sure enough, one of the guys, for whatever reason, you know, ended up moving out. So the opportunity was just like, hey, there's a spot here in San Diego if you want to try it out. This was, I think, like October of 2019, and the room was going to open up a couple months later. And so it was, I had to decide quickly, like, do I want to try this? Do I want to move across the country? And I don't think I would have if my brother wasn't already here.
Sure.
Like, having that safety net of like having some family here is huge. You know, my brother and his wife are here, and then my good friend and his wife are here. So just having like a couple people here, I think, made it a lot easier than to try to just come out here without knowing anyone.
Yeah, we did it the other way. It was not quite as easy.
You came out here not knowing anyone?
We didn't know anyone.
No.
We had a couple, like, I wouldn't even call them like good friends, like acquaintances, that some people that I had worked with that for the most part didn't know a single person, and then moved out here during the pandemic. Like, we were
I mean, that takes courage, for sure. But I mean, you guys are not introverts, right? Like, you guys are comfortable going out and
people for sure.
100%. Me, as more of an introvert, like, I don't think I would have had the courage to do that, not knowing anybody out here. But yeah, so I ended up moving out here December of 2019, basically the last week of the year. And it just was great because the little community of people in those cottages were super welcoming and fun. And I just got so lucky in that, like, I kind of had immediately sort of like a built-in kind of friend group.
Yeah.
And, you know, people in the cottages were like, if someone was going out to grab a beer after work, they'd, you know, the group chat, they'd be like, hey, I'm going to grab a drink, and anyone feel free to come and hang out, right? And so it just was great because it was a built-in, you know, kind of starter group, which from there it branches off, right? So if you go out with someone and then you meet some of their friends, and before you know it, your web kind of starts to grow.
Yeah.
But just having those first few people made all the difference, right? Of just kind of getting started here. And of course, so you guys came out here during COVID.
Yeah, we were like a year after you. So we were December of 2020 is when we landed here. We left Chicago in August, but we spent some time up in Oregon, actually, before we moved down.
So, I mean, being here in the pandemic versus a cold weather city is so much better.
That was the main reason. It was March, when everything shut down in March. It was one of those things where we had an 800 square foot apartment. It was me, Christina, and 2 dogs, and it was freezing outside. There wasn't much to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So being out here, we're like, let's go somewhere where it's like, well, we can't go anywhere, but we can go outside.
Yeah.
So let's go where it's nice.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing obviously was like, it's nice enough you can go outside and you can go running or biking, and you can do that stuff outside comfortably, but also like outdoor dining, right? Like, you know, outdoor dining was thriving out here. And so you could go out and do that here versus like in Chicago in February, you're probably not going to do that enjoyably. So yeah, it just opened up a lot of additional possibilities being here versus in my case, it would have been Boston. And I was similar situation. I had a tiny apartment in Beacon Hill, it was a cool spot, but it was only cool because of its proximity to other things. And so when all those things were closed, it wouldn't have been a lot of fun to live there. So,
it was such a wild time. Crazy.
That was 5 years ago.
So that's the crazy thing, is just how fast the time has flown by. Because so you've been here 5 years, I've now been here 6 years.
Yeah.
When I came out here, it literally it was that opportunity kind of presented itself. My friend was like, "Hey, you want to come out here?" And it was such a low level of commitment when I came out here because, one, I was able to keep my job on the East Coast.
Right.
So I kept my job in Boston, and I came out here and I just worked remote. So that made it super easy for me to come out here. The other thing was like that house, it was furnished already. So like I didn't have to move furniture.
Yeah,
there was no move.
Pack a suitcase.
And it was month to month. So like if I came out here for 2 months and I was like, I'm all set, like I'll move back. And so I literally just came out here. I got a flight. I had a backpack, and like I always travel light. I never take a carry-on. I made an exception when I moved out here. I brought a carry-on. No, sorry, a check bag. Yeah. So yeah, and it just was the easiest move. I thought I'd be out here for 6 months, maybe a year. Here I am 6 years later, right?
Yeah.
And so, and part of it is like after the first year, I met, you know, Jana, who is now we're married, and we just had a son last year.
Yeah.
And we bought a house out here, and so it's just like I keep putting my roots deeper and deeper in San Diego. So, you know, it's like it's just kind of funny how that works because I didn't necessarily plan on coming here long term. I was open to it. I just was open to kind of whatever kind of came my way, and it was all good things. And so I stayed longer and longer, and and now I'm here, and I'm here for the foreseeable future.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, so you poured gasoline on it by like finding someone, family, house, kids, like. But my theory is, I was talking about this with someone the other day. I was like, there's no seasons here, so because there's no seasons here, it messes with my perception of time. Where in Chicago and I'm sure Boston, where like when the seasons happen, it kind of makes it the distinction of like, oh, it's this time of year, but because it's just perfect year round,
Yeah,
it feels like it's accelerating.
Yeah.
And even this year, like we're in May, and I'm like, how are we in May right now? Like
I agree.
And again, like having kids and like that in itself will make time go really fast, because I'm sure even for you, like there's been milestone moments of having your son. That's like, how are we here?
So we're coming up. We got married Memorial Day last year.
Yeah.
It's almost a year since that, and I look back, and it feels like it was yesterday. It feels like it was a week ago, where we were like making the final preparations for the wedding, and it was so cool because my family, a lot of my friends are still on the East Coast, so like it was so cool to just get them all out here, and to kind of like show them San Diego and kind of like give them recommendations of things to do, and so that was super fun to just have that event. But yeah, looking back on that, it still feels so fresh and like it just happened. And meanwhile, coming up on a year in a week or two, it'll be a year. But it was a busy year. I mean, so we got married, we honeymoon, a couple weeks in Italy for that. Bought a house, and then the baby was born, and then tax season. Yeah. And so,
that's
for
wild.
you, that
That's
all checks out a little
year.
bit more. It's like, that's wild to just check all the boxes.
Yeah.
We just did everything.
Yeah. I love it.
It's kind of funny how you go, you'll go like years without like a major milestone in life, right? And then
just all at once.
One
of my favorite sayings: good things happen over time, great things happen all at once.
I like that.
It's one of my favorites.
I've never heard that. I like that. No,
it's from what's the movie? It's from a ridiculous. It shouldn't. It's such a profound quote, but it shouldn't.
Like doesn't belong in that movie.
No,
almost.
It's like a road trip movie in Europe, not Euro Trip, but it's like a mouse. I gotta think of it. It's an obscure.
It wasn't the Tom Green one, was it?
No, not Tom Green. It's like there's a bunch of people. They're all racing around something. They're all racing to get somewhere.
Oh,
and there's different groups.
Rat Race?
Rat Race.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It's from Rat Race.
It's from Rat Race. Okay.
Thank you.
It's a throwback right there. I like it.
I don't think I've seen it.
I love that I was able to just describe that. That makes me feel real good. Then you got it.
That's funny. Well, okay, so it's funny because we typically actually start every one of these with a check-in, and we skipped through that, which is totally fine. I think we just really got wrapped up in the conversation. But we will still finish with a reinforcement because that's part of the process. And so, yeah, for each of us, just what's the biggest takeaway or thing that we learned or what we enjoyed about this conversation?
I can go.
Yeah,
I think for me, it's just kind of paying attention to the opportunities that come your way and being open to them, right? Because a lot of the best things in my life were just from being open to opportunities, right? So like the England trip, the semester at sea, coming out here to San Diego, it just was like an opportunity presented itself. I said yes. Yeah. And some really cool things happened.
That was actually what I was sitting with, is the reminder, because we actually had someone else that you probably need to meet if you didn't meet him yet, but very much similar life journey of and he's in a season right now where he's saying yes, being open to whatever the universe, whatever God, whatever you believe in is throwing at him, and he's just saying yes, and it is working out beautifully. And I think I'm sitting with that part of this conversation. So I love that that's been your story.
Yeah.
There's so many great things that have come your way from it, and and then I'm also like the freedom part is like, so you said 20% to freedom, and I'm like, yeah, we're probably around 20%. How do I say yes to things that are gonna help the freedom part get that, if that's a little bit of a scale, move up the scale on the meter of completion.
Yeah, and I think their reality is everyone wants to do it overnight, right? But it takes time. You can just work your way up slowly, just make steady progress at it.
Yeah. Am I making it's like the line is not a straight line. It's very squiggly, but as long as more often than not, it's moving in the right direction. It's moving up and to the right?
Yeah.
That's life.
Yeah, no, those are both probably where I was also thinking. So I'll just add another thing too from this conversation is just the defining excellence, right? What is excellence, and then and just with every opportunity, like what's the why behind this thing, this project, this event, this connection, whatever it is. The more that we can bring that out of our brains and communicate that to the team and the people that we are working with, I think the more that we're going to be able to take those steps, put in the consistency, put in the work to get that percentage to keep going up, right? So yeah, that's all part of the process.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those things that's it's easy in theory, but it's a lot harder to actually execute on it.
Yeah, just got to be aware, got to be mindful, and just put in those good habits, those good consistent.
Yeah, easy, and like you said, easier said than done, and it's all part of the process. So it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah,
exactly. And
that's cool.
That's always the frustrating part. Well, thank you so much for coming on,
I mean,
spending some time.
We recently went to a Padres game with Tim.
We did go to a Padres game with him. That was his idea, and I really appreciated that. That's the fun part of the job.
Yeah.
Is when someone like Tim is like, oh yeah, we're supposed to get together one-on-one, like why don't we go to the Padres game? It's like, fuck yeah. That's all day.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
Sail us.
That doesn't feel like work at all.
Well, it doesn't at all. And that's why, I mean, we've said this before on here when I said something to the effects of like, but I only work so many hours. And then you had to tell me, well, no, look at all of the other things. That's technically part of work. And I was like, oh, but that's fun.
Doesn't count.
It's like, that's not work. I don't know. It's just so intertwined. So yeah, where does work stop and life begin? It's like it's all the same thing to me. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing the things that I want to be doing. So it's really hard for me to put a structure to it being like working hours because I'm not clocking into a shift, right?
Right.
So it just feels so different.
Yeah, I don't know that my brain ever actually turns off the work part. I think I'm constantly and better at it some days than other, but like, you know how like when a lot of people will be like, oh, like the whole world is so busy worrying about themselves, nobody's thinking about you. Like I'm thinking about our members so much.
Yeah, I think that phrase is a little bit of a different context, but sure.
Yeah, I guess all I'm saying is I catch myself going like, why am I worried about what happened a week ago when someone didn't come to the group or whatever? It's constantly like.
Okay, but even in that scenario that you just said, that is about you.
Why is it about me?
Because it's the story I'm making up of it wasn't good enough, or it wasn't worth it, or it wasn't the priority, it wasn't enough for the person to show up to the thing that I put on.
Well, sure, that's the root of it.
Yeah.
But it still comes out as there are times like why am I thinking about plug in the name of the member? The people are in my brain, they're on my mind a lot.
Yeah.
And it's the hard part. I guess what I'm trying to say is like the challenge as we grow and as we build these relationships, like we're basically almost like the GM of a sports team, for an analogy of just like my job, like my job is to like manage all of these relationships and make sure everyone's good, getting what they need, making sure they have what they need. Like I feel like I'm that sometimes, and I'm not doing it super effectively.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll catch myself. I'm thinking about, and maybe I just need to act on it more, but I'm thinking about, is this person getting enough of what they need? Or is this experience right for whoever came? Like, did they have a good time? Right? And it's coming from a place of, I want to make sure everyone's getting what they need. Yeah.
I think there's a little mix in there, right? Like I still hear a little bit of the ego coming out in that question of like, are they having a good time? Right? And it's like, well, is that about you?
It's all about me.
I know. So like, that's why going back to, people say that people are all just like really thinking about themselves, because it's true.
At the root of yeah, but I guess it's not like my brain doesn't, it's like doing it backwards, I guess is what I'm saying. Sure, it's ego and it's all about me, but like when I'm thinking about, I was just in the group today and someone didn't show up from the group and they didn't let me know, like, are they okay? What's going on with them? Like, why didn't we hear?
Sure.
Like there's a level of care and concern.
Okay, yeah.
I guess what I'm trying, like, it's not just me and is it good enough and like my
Well, those
shit.
are different questions you just asked.
Yeah, but like that's a more specific example of the time where, and like I'll catch myself where like, oh, I haven't heard from this person in a minute. I haven't seen them. I wonder how they're doing. I wonder what's going on.
So what do you do?
Usually nothing.
Why?
Because life.
That's an easy text message. Hey, thought about you today.
Yeah.
Hope things are great. I'm like so guilty of not doing the thing, right? Like that's something consistent even from friendships of mine that I've had for years, right? And it's when I have the thought about them, why not just in that moment call, text, reach out, whatever version of that. We have a close enough relationship with our members that you could just text them and just be like, hey, thought of you, hope things are okay, hope you're okay, whatever the thing is that you're curious.
Sure. I
do like the GM of a sports team analogy, though.
Yeah, why?
Because I like sports.
I do feel that, like, if my role, quote unquote, as community manager, like I do feel like a version of that.
Yeah.
Right. Where
that's really fun.
It's just like and it's no different than any organization, but who is keeping a pulse on.
Yeah.
On making sure everyone's good and they've got what they need and everyone's feeling connected and not siloed or anything like that. It's just a different version of it in this context.
Yeah.
From a membership-based community versus a business.
I don't know if this is going to be relevant to this episode or to keep it in. I just truly, it blows my mind how incredible the staff and the team at Mic Drop are, right? So Joe Coy literally lets Mic Drop know on Monday at like 1 p.m. that he wants to do a show at Mic Drop that night. And Mondays aren't even a night that this place is open or staffed. Within just a matter of like an hour or two, they had to staff the place, call the people on the team, get everybody there, right? Like in this place like takes quite a few people to run run it on a full night, right? There's kitchen staff, there's bar staff, there's the servers, there's obviously the management, there's the sound, there's a lot of moving parts. And then and tickets go up and literally crashes the site and tickets are sold out within 10 minutes. But it's just like the level of excellence here, right? The level of, we are going to work hard and we're going to get shit done and we're going to make it amazing. That's who I like to surround myself with, is people who know what that means and like what service really is, right? And hospitality. Yeah.
There's a difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
From, I'm pretty sure it's from Unreasonable Hospitality, but so service is black and white and hospitality is color. Was the quote. That's the difference.
Well, it's similar to the art and science, right? So
defining the art.
Yeah.
Like breaking down positions into art and science.
Yeah. Right. And because it's both things, right? There's the black and white. There's the things that like, here's the facts. Here's the technical way to do the job or do the task. Mm-hmm. And then there's the art to it, because there's so many different factors that can play into the same task. I have to know how to use the art and the science.
Oh yeah. Well, so I mean, the art is usually, there's room for, so there's the difference between like reading a script and here's the script versus, well, there's a framework and then show your personality. Mm-hmm. And be you. Mm-hmm. Versus just reading. Like I can tell, I can feel, right? So the art is more of like how am I the connection, the feeling part.
Right.
How am I doing that with when I nail all of the the science stuff.
Well, just as an example, like the check-in table for the SFC event, right?
Mhm.
The science is like, I need to check off, I need to ask what someone's name is, I need to check it off, I need to hand them their whatever, whatever the thing is for whatever the event is. But the art of it is like, how am I actually interacting with each person and smiling and my tone and all the parts that are the human connection aspect of it.
Right. Yeah, that's a good example.
And the amount of people who literally told me, like, oh yeah, even from the moment that I was greeted, it was so warm and welcoming and they were excited. There was energy. So yeah, it makes a fucking difference.
Yeah, well, I think to that, and if this was, what's the book called? The Art of something. The Art of Hosting, The Art of Events, The Art of, I'm blanking on the name. So there was a book that I read, but so much of it was, there's so many ways for me to impact and influence the way that people show up. And it's all of this pre-work around sending out communication beforehand and setting expectations, and then all of these touch points that happen before someone even shows up,
Mm-hmm.
that when it happens, it changes the tone of everything.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much pre-work that I think it's overlooked a lot, and it's something that I think we've gotten better at and still miss sometimes. But there's so much of the experience is created before the experience is happening.
For sure.
Right?
I mean, so this is hilarious because the reason why it's coming to mind is because we received what's it called? Like a return to sender of some super old mail that was supposed to go to Frederick. And it was literally the invitations to our holiday party, but from 2 years ago for when it was NFL themed, football themed.
Yeah, that's insane.
And well, yeah, crazy. I don't understand the mail system. I don't know.
Where has it been this whole time?
Where has that been sitting for like so long? It's crazy.
Yeah, like the postmark date is literally like November of 2024. And we got it yesterday.
Yeah, that was anyway, so but even just like thinking about that event and how like that set the tone, right? And it was crazy because you made them so well that people thought that they were their actual tickets to get into the event. But something like that where it's so detailed and creative and fun, and it literally like that kind of an invitation, like that gets me excited to go to the event. I'm like, holy shit, how cool is that, right? And so that is the moment that's like, it's going to set the tone. It's going to start getting the energy where we want it to be for when people arrive.
Yeah. The Art of Gathering is what it's called.
The Art of Gathering.
The Art of Gathering is the name of the book that talks a lot about setting expectations and the touch points before the experience, every part of the experience leading up to the experience, helping and supporting and setting the tone for when someone walks in. Yeah. Because if I get these Super Bowl looking tickets for the Super Bowl football themed party for 6 Degrees a month in advance, if they put this much time and energy and effort into this part of it,
imagine.
I can't wait to see. Right. And I was very proud of those tickets. So those tickets, it was kind of cool to see them again because I haven't seen them in a while. But that was one of the cool design things that we've done. That wasn't like personalized, but like customized for the event. Yeah, that was a fun one.
That was a fun one. We do some really cool shit
from time to time.
I mean, I think it's like most of the time.
I'm sitting down with a member yesterday, and he's like, we were talking about some of the changes that we've made and the evolution, and part of even what he shared was like, and don't take any of my advice because you guys are so fucking good at what you do.
That's hilarious.
It's like I have thoughts and I have like ideas, and personally, like these are some things that whatever, and he shared just some things. Again, things have changed. Yeah. And just had questions and wanted to understand more. And at the same time, he's like, you guys are so good at the event stuff. He's like, I've never gone and not felt excited and energized and not like that was great. Mm-hmm. Right. So we're good at what we do, and we're doing something right.
It's interesting in this moment, like what I am thinking about is there's this image, this is what networking looks like, this is what business communities look like, this is the thing, and it's because that's what most people are doing and most organizations are doing, and we're just not going to be that. We're going to be different, and we're going to create these other types of experiences, and that's the lane that we're carving out deeper and deeper the more that we go.
Yeah.
And so I think that there might be like this, yeah, but I think I want this other thing because that's just what I'm used to, because I'm going to so many of these other types of things that, like, that's quote like that. That's what I know. That's what I know my business is supposed to be doing. And it's like, well, there's other ways that are actually going to be so effective. And probably, here's another thing that I just thought of too. Because we do such a good job at this not feeling like work, this not feeling like I'm at a networking event, it's happening. It's happening organically. It's happening in a curated way on our end, right? Mm-hmm. And I think maybe there's even, because it's almost like hidden, it doesn't feel like work. And so it doesn't feel like I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But then the results actually are even better in the long run than what they could even imagine, because the relationships are that much deeper, right? But maybe that's part of what the miss has been for some people, of like, oh, but I'm not doing like the action that I've been taught to do over and over and over again. I'm not making the cold calls. I'm not spending time picking up the phone, right? And it's like the same thing, just in person. And yeah, it doesn't feel like work. So so they don't think that they're doing the networking part of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe that's part of it. We're so good at creating like the experience that it's, why am I investing in something that like it's not the thing that I should, like, quote unquote, should be doing to build my business.
Yeah, like it's almost like it's too fun. Like I'm having such a good time, and it doesn't feel like I actually got anything accomplished, when really that is more accomplished in that relationship than I could ever get from going to a happy hour and like shooting the shit for 10 minutes and then it's on to the next person. And right, like maybe that's the miss, is people are not connecting that this is actually more impactful. That's weird. I'm literally like realizing this in real time.
Yeah, maybe
that could be a possibility.
That's possible.
We're just so damn good at our job, bub.
Put her there, bub.
Put her there, bub.